Well, welcome everyone to Levi and Maddie's wedding, and thanks very much for watching. You know that unprecedented times are upon us all now, and because of this, Levi and Maddie only have 5 allowed to be here. So it's Levi and Maddie, it's myself, and we have Jackson and Lissy. Jackson is our video sound engineer, Lissy's our photographer, so they've got 2 dual roles today, and they're also going to act as legal witnesses for us. But Levi and Maddie would also like to extend a very big thank you to the Thornley family to allow them to have this nice provision to be able to have the wedding regardless of weather, and we certainly thank them very much. Now, at this point in a normal wedding, I'd probably ask for the mobile phones to be turned off and no confetti. I don't think we've any worries about that at all today. But with the COVID-19, the wedding's going to be unique in a different way as well. Because Maddie and Levi, years to come, you might be asked, what was your wedding like? You say, oh, we got married in COVID-19. There's just the 5 of us. And that's special in a different way. So you'll have something to sort of talk about later on. But we certainly don't have a crowd with us here, do we? But online, we have an enormous crowd, and it's really nice that they're online to see you married and to be able to enjoy that. Levi, your dad, Paul, and your mum, Lisa, they'd probably like to be here, and Maddie, I know Jamie and Teresa would like to be here as well. But sadly they can't, but we know they're listening in and watching, and we know that you'll go and see them this afternoon, and they'll really enjoy that too. So, you look pretty good today, both of you. Maddie, you're the first bride that's arrived half an hour early. Normally they arrive a minute or 2 minutes late, but with these different circumstances, it was lovely that you're here early and we could get ourselves a little bit relaxed and feel good. Your dress looks lovely, really, really nice, and Levi, you look pretty good too. It's I'd say to get a little bit closer together, but you already are. Social distancing, we're not worrying about it this morning, are we? Not at this ceremony, so we can really enjoy that as well. So just enjoy your day. That's what it's all about. Be relaxed and really enjoy what's here before you. Everyone wants you to enjoy it. Jehovah wants you to enjoy it, and you certainly will. Now, what's special about both of you, you've grown up serving Jehovah, and that's an absolute privilege. As a child, I didn't, and a lot of our brothers and sisters watching probably didn't, but to grow up as a child in the truth has a lot of real benefits. Maddie, I've obviously known you from birth. You're no longer my little Madsy Moo, the granddaughter. You're now Maddie, a beautiful woman. And Levi, I've known you since you were quite a young teenager. You're a lot quieter and a bit more reserved in those days when we were in Devonport congregation, but it's nice that I've known you both over a period of time. And growing up with Jehovah and with parents in the truth, that's a blessing in itself. But the other blessing you've got today is your wedding, because that's a blessing from Jehovah. Because, he's the one that instituted the marriage arrangement. And you've followed him for so long now, you're going to continue to follow him, but just the only thing different now is you're going to be married. And that in itself presents challenges, but also gives you wonderful privileges as well. Levi, if you could imagine yourself being Adam, right back at the start, everything he wanted, beautiful environment, things to do, but he didn't have a partner. And he probably got a bit sad, a bit lonely, and Jehovah God saw that. So if you'd like to take your Bible, let's just look at a couple of scriptures, because Jehovah realised the situation Adam was in. So let's turn to Genesis 2, and keep your marker in Genesis 2, because there's a couple of scriptures there we'll actually follow through. Genesis 2, verse 18, and this is how Jehovah felt about Adam being on his own. It says, then Jehovah God said, it is not good for the man to continue to be alone. I'm going to make a helper for him as a complement for him. So that's really the start of that marriage arrangement. Now, as always, when I do marriage talks, I ask both the bride and the groom to send me some little snippets of each other. Levi, I must admit, I'll say it in front of a big audience, it brought a few tears to my eyes, your comments, because what was really nice was, I know Maddie really well, but your comments proved to me you really know her well too, because I could see in what she was saying, you'd spent the time to know her, and that's just so good at the start of a marriage that you've got. But here's one of your comments. You said, I look forward to the day-to-day talking and discussing what's going on, having someone to listen to and someone for me to listen to as well. Whenever I'm feeling flat, when things aren't going how I planned, Maddie is always there with comforting words to make me realise that everything is okay and we'll get through it. That's that compliment. That's that helper. And you've got it from now on. Don't make me teary, will you? Good. And a little further, while you've got Genesis 2 open, a little further, let's go down to verse 21 and 22 and see what Jehovah God did, how he brought this first couple together. So in verse 21, so Jehovah God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep, and while he was sleeping, he took one of his ribs and then closed up the flesh over its place. And Jehovah God built the rib that he had taken from the man into a woman, and he brought her to the man. Do you know what's really nice when we read that? That we sometimes think about marriage, but marriage is Jehovah God's arrangement. That's the really nice thing about it. You know, it's his arrangement for us to share and enjoy. And when we consider that Jehovah's put it there for us, we really treasure it. But in the world, marriage is sometimes seen as something very fickle. I mean, people don't see the value of it. Some people don't even get married, they just live together. And if things get too hard, they just up and leave. That's not what Jehovah God wants. He wants this marriage to be a lasting, permanent union. So let's look at verse 24 while you're there, thinking about this permanent union. In verse 24 of Genesis 2, that is why a man will leave his father and his mother, and he will stick to his wife, and they'll become one flesh. And that's what's going to happen today. You're going to become one flesh as such. We'll learn a little later that Jehovah's part of that as well. But what do we know about Jehovah? You could probably rattle off a lot of things, couldn't you? You've been with him for so long as it is now. But just two things. Jehovah's a God of love, but he's also a happy God. And if you just think of those two things, if your marriage can have those two qualities, to be a happy marriage and to have love in the marriage, then it's going to be a marriage that's going to be really wholesome and something that you really, really enjoy. And I know you both love Jehovah. You know, you wouldn't be here if you don't. You really do love Jehovah. You are both happy. And what's really nice, I was watching yesterday the trial stream, and brothers and sisters this morning have probably been watching as well. Just the photos of you all the way through. That was really nice to see. You are quite a photogenic couple, both of you, and you look really nice, but it really shows that the love you have, and you're reflecting those qualities as well. Now, Maddie, you made some comments too. This is a comment you made about Levi. You said, Levi has a great love for Jehovah and for his brothers and sisters. Most times, when at the Kingdom Hall, I seem to lose him because he's off talking and organising something to support the meetings. That'll happen more and more, don't worry. We've already been able to share experiences together in Jehovah's service, like Levi becoming a ministerial servant, 2 witnessing trips, and working alongside each other on our Kingdom Hall renovation. I look forward to being able to do more as a married couple and reach the goals we share to serve Jehovah. So that's the things, Levi, that Maddie already sees in you. Levi's got some comments for you too, Maddie. She says she has instilled in her heart Jehovah's views on matters, entertainment, morals, attitudes. You can tell she has a love for Jehovah's thinking since childhood. This proves her genuine love for Jehovah God. And I like this point you said, Levi. This is probably one of the things that brought a little tear to my eyes, actually. You said, everything she does is put through a spiritual filter, so that everything she does is in harmony with the scriptures and Jehovah's principles. Lovely comments, aren't they, Madsy? And it's nice that Levi can see that in you already, you know. So straight away, you've got this lovely basis, this lovely grounding, you know, to stay together as a lovely married couple. But for it to work and for it to stay strong, you would know Jehovah has to stay in the picture, doesn't he? He's got to be there. He's there all the time. And we know the illustration of the twofold cord. That's what marriage is about. When Jehovah goes in, that's the threefold cord. And that's what makes it so strong. It goes from being just relatively strong to extremely strong when Jehovah's that twofold cord. So Levi and Maddie, always trust Jehovah God's advice. You know, there's no better advice. Just always trust it. If there's ever a problem, go to his word and find out what he wants. You know, people of the world, you can go anywhere to marriage guidance counselors, you can go to all these other people, but Jehovah God, he knows our physical and emotional makeup better than any human being. And any guidance, any counsel we need when things get tough, it's there. And Jehovah gives it for us. So study the Bible together, pray together, worship together, and that way you'll draw closer to each other and obviously closer to Jehovah as well. Now, Levi, a little bit for you now, more importantly, because you have a very important responsibility and a lovely privilege along the way as well. Because as the husband, as the man of the family, you're appointed to be a loving head of the family. And headship is not something that you can demand. Headship's something that's earned. And you're not even together as a married couple. You will be in a few minutes. But prior to now, Maddie made a lovely comment. She said, "I've always admired Levi's care for people, and especially his love for family. He always has time to be with and help his family, and I've seen him do the same as he's joined my family. He always has a listening ear when you need it, and the patience to listen to my nonsense and make me feel better about a situation. Levi's genuine care and love makes me feel safe in knowing he'll always be there to look after me." So Levi, you have Maddie's confidence already. Just build on that confidence as you stay together, and you'll stick like glue, and that's what Jehovah wants us to do. But I suppose for you, Levi, what's it meant to be the head of the family? You ever thought about it? Obviously you have, lots of times. It involves using good, sound judgment based on the Bible. But I think the most important thing is having the courage, the commitment to take on the headship. It is a commitment. It is a courageous thing you have to do. But have that courage to take it on board and run with it, because Jehovah will help you, and then the marriage will really start to work like clockwork. You're going to have to supply the spiritual provisions for Maddie, physical, emotional, even when you go out at times, recreation. They're all part of the headship arrangement. Maddie, you made another comment, which is really nice. You said, "We've had struggles and hard times. One just in the last few weeks, and learning about how our special day would be affected." And I think I have to commend you both for the way you've got through that. It's not easy to have the planning of a nice wedding. I know your mum, Teresa's, was quite upset not to be able to be here, but the way you've handled it together as a couple has been remarkable, and you really need commending, because you're going to have a really happy day. It's a different day, but it's not the day you had. And as you said, you went on, Levi has been a shoulder to cry on, literally, and he's taken time out to talk to me and help me through things. So you've had those trying times just recently. He's been there. He'll always be there, so long as you stick close and keep Jehovah in the picture as well. Because again, in the world, headship is looked upon as something that's terrible, or is not even thought about at all. And if you haven't got it, you just have confusion, discord, disunity in the marriage arrangement. And it's something that you have to balance. You have to balance the headship with your needs, Maddie's needs, Jehovah's needs, but you'll be able to do it with Jehovah's help. But I want you to turn to another scripture now. It's Ephesians 5, verse 25, and just showing that we need to be tender in our affections with our wives as well. Ephesians 5 and verse 25. It says, "Husbands, continue loving your wives, just as the Christ also loved the congregation and gave himself up for it." And down to verse 28 and 29. "In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. A man who loves his wife loves himself. For no man ever hated his own body, but he feeds and cherishes it, just as the Christ does the congregation." And that's something we've learnt. But Levi, all you need to do is to follow Christ's example. Easy to say, harder to do, but that's all you need to do. Jesus was willing to give his life for his bride or the congregation. You need to be willing to give your life for Maddie, should ever that should come up. And Jesus also unselfishly put himself first for others. Even in Maddie's comments now, you're doing that. You can just continue to do that, and continue to look at ways that you can actually help Maddie to appreciate your headship. And when the scriptures talk about loving your wife as your own body, you wouldn't do anything to your body to hurt your own body. You would look after yourself. Simple the thing, just the same thing. Just look after Maddie, do nothing that would hurt her, and allow Maddie just to enjoy the privilege of you being there for her. And really, it is a partnership. So you're just fulfilling her needs, working with Maddie. So it's really a partnership. It's you, Maddie, and it's also Jehovah, isn't it? So in Colossians 3:19, let's turn there, because there's another little point here we sometimes need to consider. We can sometimes get a little bit uptight, a little bit cranky sometimes, but this is a nice scripture to help us find the balance. Colossians 3 and verse 19. It says, "You husbands, keep on loving your wives and do not be bitterly angry with them. So maybe in our speech, maybe in our actions, never put our wife down, never downgrade our wife, never say things that would put Maddie at a lower level. But in all situations, just continue to love Maddie. And if you do that, you'll gain her respect. She will love you, and the headship will work as it should. And the Bible also shows that Maddie's role as a wife is a dignified one. We're asked to assign her honour, Levi, as a weaker vessel, it says. It doesn't mean that she's any weaker in any sense at all. What it means is we treat her with tenderness, with compassion. And again, many of your comments reflect your thinking that Maddie is a genuine compliment. Because Levi, you said this: I've always loved how genuine Maddie is. What you see is what you get. Isn't that good? What you see is what you get. And what I see is a beautiful, selfless woman that will grow ever more to be a great example to others, both in being a capable member of the congregation and a capable, loving wife. So Maddie, don't change. Keep doing the same thing. Levi, keep doing the same thing. Because your recognition of the headship, Maddie, too, that just is going to promote having a lovely relationship and the marital success that you and Levi can enjoy. Now, Maddie, a little bit of info for you now. So if you want to turn your scriptures to Ephesians 5, verse 22, this is something that, Maddie, you could see an importance of following through on this scripture. It says, Ephesians 5, we'll pick our reading up in verse 22. Let wives be in subjection to the husbands as to the Lord, because a husband is head of the wife, just as the Christ is head of the congregation, he being a saviour of this body. In fact, as the congregation is in subjection to the Christ, wives should also be to their husbands in everything. So it's talking about a relative subjection. It doesn't mean what Levi says you have to do. That would be terrible. That would be just a hard thing to follow through. It's not saying that at all. It's saying that this is relative subjection. It's for our good, because Jehovah's the one that's asking us to do it. And just think about it. Without a form of leadership in your marriage, you'd have chaos, you'd have discord, there'd be disunity. It would be terrible. And more importantly, you'd be unhappy. And Jehovah wants you to be happy in your marriage arrangement. It'd be like you and Levi trying to drive the same vehicle, fighting over the steering wheel. Eventually it'd crash and one person would be blaming the other. But it's just having that harmony, that approach where it's that relative subjection is something that really you need to do. And it just allays all the possibilities of having, bad outcomes. And there is going to be peace and happiness. Now, Ephesians 5 verse 33, and this is the only difference in the vows when you get to your vows basically. It says, nevertheless, each one of you must love his wife as he does himself. On the other hand, the wife should have deep respect for her husband. And I've said before that the respect is not something we can actually ask or demand. It's something that's earned. And Maddie, your deep respect for Levi is just shown in your cooperating with him, working with him together. You've already mentioned quite a few ways you're doing that. He's going to make mistakes. Don't worry about that. He's going to make lots of mistakes. We all do as husbands. And when he does, that's not the time to say, I told you so. It's the time to actually be there to support him. And that's what it's all about. This deep respect is helping him, because sometimes some of our biggest learning curves that we make are through the mistakes we've made along the way. And if we can work through those together, then we really do gel together and we don't have that discord. So always show deep respect to Levi. Keep a happy home and look to Levi to make the decisions. Not that he'll make them all, but look to him to make them. As a team, discuss all the different scenarios, all the different situations that can develop, and then allow Levi to go ahead. And when they succeed, great. If they don't, it's not a problem. Work through it again, and you'll get to the point where you really will be able to respect not only Levi, but Levi will respect you greatly too. Now, Maddie, you had another comment about Levi. You said, I thank Levi for being open and honest with me and for the privilege of learning what an amazing person he is, because I feel I've truly found someone special. Okay. Lovely thoughts, lovely thoughts. And Levi, this is your comments. She's easy to get on with. Her open communication, has open communication and tells me all her thoughts, no matter how silly she thinks they are. And I know you do that. I've heard you do that. So that's really nice. And just continue to do it. I mean, Jehovah's there. He's going to help you through. So one thing I suppose that really helps the marriage too is the quality of love, having love in the marriage. And you can see that, as I mentioned before, just the photos before the thing went live today, before the broadcast went live, you can see you're having a good time. You can see that love, that little sparkle between you. So that's something that's really important. And it's so important that you both have that for each other. And in Colossians 3, let's have a look at that. Colossians 3, verse 12 through to 14. It helps us to see why it's so important to have that love as a bond as well. Colossians 3, we'll pick it up in verse 12. It says, accordingly as God's chosen ones, holy and loved, clothe yourselves with the tender affections of compassion, kindness, humility, mildness, and patience. Continue putting up with one another and forgiving one another freely, even if anyone has a cause for complaint against another. Just as Jehovah freely forgave you, you must also do the same. But besides all these things, so notice all those things there firstly, compassion, kindness, humility, mildness, patience, and just putting up with one another, forgiving one another. Then he says in verse 14, but besides all these things, clothe yourselves with love, for it is a perfect bond of union. It's the glue that's going to help you stick together. It really is. And you both look really good today. A lot of that's the clothing you're wearing. Covers up a whole lot of things. You look really nice. Love will cover up some inadequacies that you both have too. It will help you. And also, it just enhances how you look. Love will enhance the marital arrangement as well. So look for ways to show love to each other every day. Just the little things sometimes are more important than the big things. Just little things each day. A tender word, a simple action, maybe a touch, maybe just a look. And you'll know what it means. You know what Levi says, a little look, and Levi knows what you mean, a little look there. Just those things are all you need. You don't need to say much at times, so long as the other person knows. And set aside time to talk to each other every day. Good communication. One thing I find really hard. I'm normally tired, but you've got to do it. You've got to find time to communicate every day. And when you do, just listen to each other. Really listen to each other. Now, Levi, you had another really nice comment, because as your courtship's progressed, you obviously have seen Maddie, or seen in Maddie, that love is that dominant quality. And you said this. You said, Maddie has the utmost respect and love for her family. She thinks the world of her parents and brother. They have a close bond which is so rare in families these days. She shows sincere love and care towards all people, regardless of age or circumstances, and is comfortable talking to mature older ones and having fun joking around with kids. Pretty much every child I've seen that's met Maddie has loved her straight away. And then you said this. You also made this comment. She said, Maddie describes herself as plain Jane, but I see her as a pure, innocent gem of a woman that has nothing to hide. And that's a lovely thought, isn't it, Maddie, that Levi can see that in you now. That's really lovely. Maddie, you went a little bit different in your comments. You said, he has weird quirks that make me laugh, and some I may have picked up by myself. But I love everything about him, and love that I'll be able to continue to learn more about him every day. So lovely comments that you've both made about each other. And it does show that you have that quality. But let's turn to 1 Corinthians 13, because if you ask someone in the world or anyone, how do you explain love? They'd probably make a mess of things. But in the scriptures, in 1 Corinthians 13, it's just a lovely definition of what love is. And remember this scripture, put it aside, because it says, picking up in verse 4, 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4, love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous, does not brag, does not get puffed up, does not behave indecently, does not look for its own interests, does not become provoked, does not keep account of the injury. It does not rejoice over unrighteousness, but rejoices with the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. And then it says, love never fails. So always remember that. And when you think about your relationship, it's a lovely scripture to go back to at times. So remember, put Jehovah first in all things and ensure that you put each other second. So Jehovah always comes first and then yourselves. And doing so will just strengthen that arrangement that you've got. For love does, it never fails. And if that love's there, it never fails. You both have a wonderful future ahead of you, Levi and Maddie, you really do. And all tied in online today, I'm sure, would feel very privileged to share the special day. And they're looking forward to catching up soon, I'm sure, as well. But before we go into the vows, there's one final comment that Levi made. I thought it's appropriate to put it in now. Because he said, I can't wait to spend every day waking up with her by my side and realising that I'm so fortunate to be able to call Maddie my wife. Well, the wait's over, Levi. You've got the vows to do. That's all. So you might like to just face each other because you're making these vows yourself. Maddie, you might like to pass your flowers on to Lissy. Thanks, Lissy. Now, Jackson, could we ask you to stand as a legal witness? It's just a technicality, but if you can, I know I've got to take him away from the keyboard, but if you could stand, that would be good, just while the vows are on. And first one's pretty easy because all you have to say is I do. All right? So we're going to start with you, Levi. Do you, Levi Jacob Riddell, in the presence of Jehovah God and these witnesses, take Madison Rose Wiltshire to be your wedded wife, to love and to cherish, in accordance with the divine law as outlined in the Holy Scriptures for Christian husbands, for as long as you both may live? Your answer?
I do.
Thank you very much. Now, Maddie, do you, Madison Rose Wiltshire, in the presence of Jehovah God and these witnesses, take Levi Jacob Riddell to be your wedded husband, to love and to cherish and deeply respect, in accordance with the divine law as outlined in the Holy Scriptures for Christian wives, for as long as you both may live?
I do.
Thank you. Now this gets a little harder because you've just got to repeat what I say. Now, Levi, we'll start with you again. If you could just repeat after me, please. I, Levi Jacob Riddell,
I, Levi Jacob Brodell,
take you, Madison Rose Wiltshire,
take you, Madison Rose Wiltshire,
to be my wedded wife,
to be my wedded wife,
to love and to cherish,
to love and to cherish,
in accordance with the divine law,
in accordance with the divine law,
as set forth in the Holy Scriptures,
as set forth in the Holy Scriptures,
for Christian husbands,
for Christian husbands,
for as long as we both shall live together on earth,
for as long as we both shall live together on earth,
according to God's marital arrangement.
according to God's marital arrangement.
Very good, Levi. Maddie, your turn. I, Madison Rose Wiltshire,
I, Madison Rose Wiltshire,
take you, Levi Jacob Riddell,
take you, Levi Jacob Brodell,
to be my wedded husband,
to be my wedded husband,
to love and to cherish and deeply respect,
to love and to cherish and deeply respect,
in accordance with the divine law,
in accordance with the divine law,
as set forth in the Holy Scriptures,
as set forth in the Holy Scriptures,
for Christian wives,
for Christian wives,
for as long as we both shall live together on earth,
for as long as we both shall live together on earth,
according to God's marital arrangement.
according to God's marital arrangement.
Excellent, very good. Now, Levi, you have the rings, so you might like to put the ring on Maddie's finger first, and then Maddie, you can do the same to Levi. So for as much as Levi Jacob Riddell and Madison Rose Wiltshire have covenanted before Jehovah God and these witnesses to accept each other in wedlock, I, as an ordained minister, and by the authority conferred upon me by the Holy Scriptures and the law of the Commonwealth of Australia, pronounced that they are husband and wife, together. What God has yoked together, let no man put apart. Levi, you may kiss your bride. All right, it's appropriate now that we have a prayer, so let's do that. Well, what we need to do now is to do some legal paperwork, so we'll go and do that. Well, everyone online, it's my real happy pleasure to introduce to you Brother and Sister Bradell. Now, brother, we can hear the clapping out there too. Now, Levi, I'd like to say a few words. I'll hand over to Levi. Thanks very much, Levi.
Not on. Mic is now on. To start, I just wanted to say thanks to everyone who's connected in with us to be with us for our special day. As mentioned, we've had strange different times that's impacted the way we've had to go about our wedding, but we managed to pull it off last minute thanks to a bunch of legends who have gave up so much of their time to make our wedding possible. Thanks to Teresa for making the dress. Thanks to Jackson for help with all the technical side of things, setting up the stream. Thanks for the Thornleys for letting us use this space to hold the ceremony and all the effort they put in for the setting up as well. A solid thanks to our parents for everything from the start. We've been through a lot these last few years, and their constant support has been incredible. And special thanks to Claire for everything you've done for Maddie. Maddie said that she would not have been... Oh, far out. She said she wouldn't be getting married to me if it wasn't for you, Claire. So I thank you too.
Why'd you do that?
Just because. Proverbs 18:24 says that there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Or in this case, a sister. And Claire, you're that friend for Maddie. Thanks to everyone else who's been there for us through our courtship and planning our wedding and then planning it again within the last 2 weeks. So that was great. We're so happy with how things have turned out today, and I'm so looking forward to getting to know this special woman better every day for the rest of our lives and for eternity as well. Thanks again to everyone. Stay safe, stay home, wash your hands, and if anyone is thinking of wedding presents to get us, we could do with some toilet paper, some hand sanitizer, maybe some surgical masks, pasta and rice. But if you're thinking of getting us some beer, just don't get us Corona, please. That's what I ask anyway. Well, that's about it from us. And I've been told that we've got a couple of videos pre-recorded that both of our fathers have put together for us. So, and we haven't seen these before either, so we'll watch that now. But, thanks again to everyone. That's it from us.
Hi there. This is a bit odd, but it's really nice that we can still all be part of this very happy occasion. Now, for those that don't know me, my name is Paul and I'm Levi's dad. Now, when I was thinking about doing this father of the groom's speech, I thought that one thing would be missing from doing it in person, and that is the heckling that you would normally get when you're giving a speech at a wedding. So please feel free to do all the heckling you like at home. It'll probably make it more real to you, and it'll also make my speech a little bit more interesting. So first of all, I'd just like to add my thanks to everyone for attending and for those that made this occasion happen, especially under the circumstances that we're all facing. It's been a bit of a roller coaster over the last few weeks. Now, some of you have known Levi all his life since he was a little fella, and some have only for the last few years since he's been travelling up to Burnie. And when Levi was a kid, he was a quiet kid. He was very rarely in trouble. He loved his music, and he became quite good at the guitar and also at the drums. His ability to smash on the drums especially was something that he shared with the entire family, whether we liked it or not. But it was good. We actually enjoyed having the music and the activity around. For a lot of years, we spent our vacations together. Usually we were away riding our dirt bikes or camping or something like that. But then in his late teens, he got in with a really good bunch of young ones. And he came out of his shell a little bit more, and he started to blossom into a really nice young man. Now, he's always been considerate and helpful to his family and for those in need in the congregation. He's volunteered willingly, and he's always been one that rolls up his sleeves and gets in and does what needs to be done. He's also been a really hard worker and has a really good work ethic, and that'll hold him in good stead for whatever challenges that may come along in the future. Now, it's interesting, at the engagement party, someone came up to me and they said, "How do I feel about Levi leaving home?" And I said that I was sad, because I am. But when you look at the person that he has developed into, it's actually a really proud moment. When we look at him and who he is, his mother Lisa and myself, we like to think at least we had some input into that. And although most people who know me would tell you that all of Levi's good qualities come from his mum, we won't talk about the qualities that he has inherited from me. As a father, one of the proudest and happiest moments of your life is when your child makes a dedication and moves on to baptism. But with Levi, it didn't stop there. He kept on reaching out to serve in whatever capacity he could. Levi's had some great goals, and now, with Maddie at his side, Levi's found someone who shares the same attitude towards serving Jehovah. So that's a real blessing. Now, I didn't really know Maddie or Jamie or Teresa before Levi became interested in Maddie. I'd known some of the rest of the family. I'd known Jackson for a bit longer with work in the LDC. And of course, we'd known John and Doone for years, and they've been a significant part of our family's lives. Now, Levi and I had met Maddie briefly down at a little beach one year when she was camping along with Mac and Deirdre, and we were down there riding our dirt bikes. There were quite a few other families there, and there was a mix of young and old, but Maddie came across as quite a nice, quiet, young, respectful young person. A few years later on, when Levi started to branch out, because you can usually tell when they start getting interested in moving on to the next stage of their life, he was hanging out with a crew that included Maddie. And I remember thinking to myself, well, it would be nice if he became interested in someone like Maddie that was putting Jehovah first in their life. And then, of course, unbeknownst to me, because I'm a father, it all happened, and the rest is history. Now, when you see these two young people together, it just seems right. And you know that they have the qualities that will make for a successful marriage, especially when they have Jehovah in their lives with them as well. So, Maddie, welcome to our family, as I know that Levi has been welcomed into yours. We look forward to seeing you both grow together and deepen your bond of love that we can already see. So enjoy the day, and we'll see you in person when we can. Bye.
Hello everyone. What a difference a few weeks make. A month ago it was all systems go for a wedding, for a reception and for a honeymoon on the mainland, but now because of a nasty little bug that we can't even see, we're all locked in our homes and we're having to celebrate Levi and Maddie's wedding electronically. For those that don't know me, I'm Jamie, I'm Maddie's dad, and Maddie's mum Teresa and and I really want to thank everybody that's made this day possible for Levi and Maddie to be able to celebrate their wedding. It's really difficult for parents, for a father, when their daughter gets married, but it's doubly difficult when we can't be there in person to be able to share the day with Maddie and Levi and to be able to walk Maddie down the aisle. But we just have to cope with what we've got at the moment. Growing up, Maddie was loud. From the day that she arrived, she had a fair set of lungs and she knew how to use them. Oftentimes it was for good. She was often singing. She sang in choirs when she was at school and in Stedfords, sometimes for evil though. She had a voice that sounded like she gargled gravel when she was younger. In fact, one of her famous sayings was when she was asked, what are you doing, Mad? She go, going fishing for flathead. She sounded like she was a pack-a-day smoker when she was only really little. And she was a good fisher person too. She often outfished the boys, which was a good thing because growing up, Maddie was surrounded by boys. It was like she had 7 older brothers in the congregation. There just wasn't many girls about. When Maddie was about 10, we bought a little caravan and we had some memorable trips on the mainland with the Wiseman family and the Lindsays, but it was all boys, no girls. We saw a lot of interesting things on those caravan trips. Maddie not quite so much. She did spend a lot of the time in the back of the car with a jumper over her head, trying to stop the sun getting on her little pink DVD player so that she could watch Cheaper by the Dozen 1 and 2 on an endless loop. Maddie's always done things in her own time. If we tried to encourage her to get a part-time job when she was at school, she just dug her heels in and she wouldn't do it until we stopped pestering, and then she'd just come home and announce one day, oh, by the way, I've got a job at Macca's. And it was like that when she was going to get baptised too. A lot of people were worried, but she did it in her own sweet time. At the end of school, Maddie actually had a traineeship as in office administration, and it was a bit of a shock when she decided that she wasn't going to take the traineeship, but she came and asked whether she could work with us window cleaning so that she could pioneer. She'd never shown any interest in window cleaning before, but it was a good shock, and it's been a wonderful blessing to see Maddie give her all in her service and become a really spiritual young woman, along with a wonderful bunch of pioneers in our congregation. It's been a real blessing for Teresa and I. I've known Levi for a while now. I've had the privilege of working on a few hall renovations and other projects with Levi, and I was always really impressed with how much stuff he can carry in his tool belt. I started calling him Mitre 10 because he's like a walking hardware store, 4 of everything. But he's a hard worker, and he's a good tradesman too, and it's all good for a good future to have that work ethic behind you. It was a bit of a surprise when we found out Maddie and Levi were interested in each other. We'd known Levi was friends with Jack and friends with Maddie, but when they showed interest in each other, but we've really got to know him over the last 18 months. We've had a couple of trips away on the mainland together, and Teresa and I would really like to welcome you to our family officially. We'll probably see less of you now that you're married than you have been, because you've been at our place quite a bit. But it's nice to see how you and Maddie have grown together over that time, getting to know each other. And it's been really nice to see how you've been able to work through problems together, especially with these challenges to your wedding day, to be able to roll with the punches and to be able to solve those problems so that you can get here today. We're sure that you'll both really enjoy married life together. Be good forgivers, Make sure that you forgive each other, that you work together, laugh lots. It's really important to have a good sense of humour and laugh lots, and make sure that you keep Jehovah in your marriage, and you won't go wrong. Congratulations, both of you, on a wonderful day. Mum and I will catch up with you as soon as we can, as soon as we're able to, but have a wonderful day. Thanks to everybody watching the stream today of Levi and Maddie's wedding. It's been nice that we've been able to do that together, and we thank you for being part of their day. Please stay safe in these critical times, and goodbye.